That's genuinely disgusting. That's very unpleasant. Wow. I'm impressed at how disgusting that is. I don't recall if I've ever done anything close to that bad. I'm trying to think of the most. A good friend of mine. A good friend of mine back in high school. Um, we had to make models of the human cell, and he made this really impressive model with it was like contained within like a plastic case, but I think he made from lunchboxes or something. And it was made of jelly, which is Jello for you silly people out there. And he made all the different components of a cell with different colored jelly. It looked fantastic. He got a really good mark for his high school biology project. And then he proceeded to to leave his jelly cell inside his inside his locker for several days, and yeah, it got moldy, it got smelly, and he remembered he remembered it at lunch one day, and he came up to me and he said, "We've got a real problem. When I open up my locker, it smells terrible, and the whole enclosed locker room just stinks like moldy jelly." So the two of us spent a whole lunchtime just cleaning out his locker and spraying the whole place with Lynx deodorant. I don't know if you guys have Lynx deodorant. I don't think it's an Australian specific thing, but it's like the typical high school boy deodorant, and got stank. My goodness. So yeah, but it's nowhere near as disgusting as that. Wow. Yeah, exactly. You tried. That's what matters. Wait, is jelly different from Jello? And jam for me is like um fruit preserves that you spread over like a piece of bread or something. Um, I didn't know that. I thought you guys called jelly Jello. What the hell is Jello then? Ooh. Anyway, hi, welcome to Lyrebird Edits. Hi, thanks for joining me for another stream. Jam and jelly are similar. One's more a preserve and the other is more of a, of a vessel for sugar. I mean, I'm even more confused. What's Jello? Is it? My splash screen's still on. Really? Hit F5. Hit that refresh button. Because I think OBS for me is all working. Yeah, hit refresh. Can you hear me talk, Ernst Herringbone? The jelly is a sugary style jam. Jello is a gelatin mold, right? So your jello is my jelly. Your jelly is my jam. And what's jam? So like you said up here, it's like jam and jelly are similar, and the other's one's a preserve, which I'm going to assume is jam. And jelly is more of a vessel for sugar. Okay, right, right. Oh, did it really? Isn't it weird? Huh. Strange. Oh well. Welcome guys, hello. First up, I should really apologize for missing out on all of that Discord discussion. And I know I said last time, but I'd try and make an effort to come onto Discord throughout the week. I haven't been able to do that. I've been really flat out busy. Um, but I will make yet another promise to you to try and at least be on here, like, just once a day to say hi or something. But you guys are having great discussions, and it seems like you're helping each other out too with suggestions and feedback, which I think is really cool. That's something that I really like to see, and in such a constructive and friendly way as well. So yeah, everyone give themselves a nice pat on the back. That's lovely, very nice. But yeah, apologies for not being there to share it with you. I know I'm missing so much. All the regrets I have. Gems like preserves. Okay. Yeah, yeah. So it sounds like our jam is the same, but your jelly is like this thing I don't have any experience with, and your jello is my jelly. Yeah. We should standardize this, shouldn't we? I feel like we should standardize this. Um, yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. I did stumble upon that. I didn't see if there was a conclusion to that. Um, I saw that someone posted an article about like the madness behind the method, or the madness behind the reason why Fahrenheit is a thing. Like, and apparently there's some sort of hidden um thing about why Fahrenheit is superior, which I flat out ignored because if something goes against what I perceive as true fact, I just outright ignore it, right? Which is a sensible thing to do. You don't want to listen to anyone else's opinion on anything. So, yeah. Why is Fahrenheit the way Fahrenheit is? Because it's not down to Kelvin. Kelvin's a whole nother ballpark. Kelvin came out on top. Yep, nice one. Yeah, I think we can all agree on that, though, can't we? Um, it's just cool. Like when you know what Kelvin is, you're like, oh, that is a cool thing. Yeah, 0 degrees Kelvin, kind of cool. Now, Mr. Herring, you said that you had like a little new line that you wanted us to test out. Remember that the start of your story um had a different line last time, and I think you wanted us to just to look over this. Hey, Sekoj, good timing, uncanny timing. I was just about to jump in, so welcome back. Good to see you. Yeah, let's have a read of it. What seismic force bends a vine against its gravity? Hmm. Well, it's nice that you got the vine going against the gravity. Now I wonder if that's going to come up again later down. Um, the garment, uh, yeah, the there we go, same font. Yeah, I wonder if that's going to come up a bit later. Hmm. Without knowing the other little sort of segments of your story, and I know that you did post one of your I think it's the fifth portion of this story, the fifth novella, the one set in 2023. I think that one um I don't remember how it started though. I just remember clicking on it and seeing it. Um so what do I think about this? Just in pure isolation as an opener. The scientist in me goes like you've got a seismic force bending a vine against gravity, and a seismic force is like a, in a more literary sense, it's an earthen force. But when I think of seismic, I think of like lithology, which doesn't strictly mean that it's wrong, because I might be wrong in my assumption there. Seismic is relating to earthquakes or other vibrations of the earth and its crust, so I guess in a literal sense, it's more rock related. But what I do like about this is that it sets up an image that I think is important for your character Isabel going against the grain, or um, going against what her life is being, like the shape that her life is being pushed into, which I think is what this is sort of trying to talk about. Hmm. I can't take the Bachelors of Science out of them. Yeah, I know it's a fickle thing. What we are. What about this? What if you get rid of seismic? What force bends a vine against its gravity? If you start off a story like this, though, you need to follow it up pretty quickly with a something that's a bit more literal to ground what this is. Otherwise, you just have like a bit of a disconnected um section after. Yeah, it's difficult. Seeding the same idea through the starts of different stories. I tried to do it once and I was never happy with it. Even when you finish a story and you go back, it's a bit of a struggle. Sometimes. Then sometimes it might just fall into place the more combinations you try. Now, Herring, would you like me to go back from where we left off last time? Which was... It was when Isabel was on top of... Ah, that's right, the. She's scratching shapes into the dust and she thinks that somebody... That's right, the abyss. We got up to here last time, I think. And maybe a little bit further. So why don't we start here today and continue on forward? I look forward to your typos, Outrider SG. Very good, very good. Yeah, so, Herring, would you like me to start from here? I see that you've reworked through the first little section too, which is good to see. And I'm always keen to go back over sections that people have already edited. So I'll throw that over to you if you want to, if you want us to go have a second cut at this first section, or if you want us to continue on from where we were last time, which was when the abyss walks through. Sorry, maybe not the abyss. That's completely up to you. Oh, cool. I just got your message over on Discord. The times where I think it's been really good to go back and look at the works that have already been edited is, I guess once the author's had enough time to make light of the suggestions and to go through and work through them in a really constructive way. But then again, like part of me feels like we should just sort of plow on. But yeah, let me know, and I will do what we will do. Otherwise, has everyone been good? Anything interesting happening in people's lives? Let me know. You know what your deepest anxieties are. Your greatest fears. Oh, that's right. I am double streaming to YouTube. Yeah, cool. Um, that's right. Good, excellent. Um, oh yeah, you said that, and you sent over the private message to me as well. Um, yeah, I'll have to take a look at that. If I don't get around to that soon, please nag me, bug me for it. Make sure I remember to do it. This is in response to I'm booing. Um, hmm. I've never thought about what people are doing while they're watching me. What a strange world we live in. Yeah. I wouldn't say visceral, I'd say, it's extraneous information. I'm not glad that I know that, but yeah, it is what it is. Alrighty. Okay, let's start from here. I think we got up to like this little section here last time, but I just want to sort of go up a little bit for. Probably in tears. Very good, very good. Let me go up to 150. Very nice. So you people on mobile, the scum of the earth on mobile. No, actually, I've got nothing against mobile users. Nothing at all. It's just I have, like, you need big zoom. A gust of wind rattles the door, and for a moment I think father has returned. No, the door is still shut tight. A tap on the barrel in time with my heartbeat as it slows back down. Somewhere below is Sherry, even older than the abyss, from when father's father filled his first barrel. How old would the abyss had been? How old would the abyss? Is this right? How old would the abyss have been then? Yep. Occasionally, a silver strand of hair would fall out from beneath her coif. Her sight has long faded, leaving stone-like pearls within her eyes. With the younger boys, she is most famous for her precision by which her can find the shins of troublemakers. Once she gave Pablo a welt larger than his hand. Every Sunday we pray, but mostly she listens. I tell her of school and how Sophia had kissed Osvaldo Amado. How I will be the first heiress to ever graduate with a bacheloretto. How delicious Maria's yemas taste. How to be a good sister. How mother tries to hide her cough. Where in the world Austria or Cuba are, and how to get there. Marriage. She closes her eyes and twirls her cane, listening, her head nodding with a patient tide, listening until all has been said and then allowing silence to fill the room whilst wisdom coalesces in her mind. Isabel! A fierce bark echoes through the darkness and sends crackles throughout my chest. A lantern sears the sleep from my eyes. Are you not sick, sleeping in here? I can see Maria's little silhouettes peering in through the front door, or through the door frame, excuse me. I can see Maria's little silhouette peering in through the door frame. Is that how you spell coif? I think either one okay? One's a coif of hair and the other is a coif of coif, C-O-I-F, a woman's close-fitting cap, now only worn under a veil by nuns. Coif, this one here, C-O-I-F-F-E, is it's an alternative spelling of coif. Huh, there you go. Cool. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Like a coif of hair. I thought it was like a do, a hairstyle. But I can't see that definition anywhere. I thought the same thing. Hmm. Maybe it's a I don't know what you call that. Why do you lie to your father? Why do you lie to your father? His voice fills the bodega. His the little silhouette slips away. Before I move on, I want to just double check that yeah, that makes sense. We've addressed who Abess is in the past paragraph, so that makes sense for her to continue thinking about her. Isabel, a fierce spark echoes throughout the darkness and sends crackles throughout my chest. A lantern sears the sleep from my eyes. Are you not sick, sleeping in here? Um, I can see Marie's little silhouette peering in through the door frame. Why do you lie to your father? His voice fills the bodega. The little silhouette slips away. Now, we know that this is the father. I had to read through it twice to fully get the image here, but are you not sick implies that it's the father talking, obviously. For me it wasn't, because I'm silly, so I had to read through it twice, and I'm like, oh yeah, of course, it's her father, who thought she was sleeping sick. The only thing I'd suggest adding here is that her father is a bit of a, um, he doesn't have much of a presence in this scene. There's the lantern, and the lantern searing the sleep from my eyes. Here would be a good place to plop in a sentence to ground her father in existence. Right now, without it, it reads as though the father is kind of this like black hole of the scene where you know it's there but you can't picture it, and everything is kind of rotating and bending around it. But in order for us to accommodate the father, it's he's a bit empty. So just fill him out, basically. Yep, yep, easy fix, really easy. Um, I can see Marie's little silhouette peeping in through the door frame. Why do you like your father? Since when? Interesting place to end the scene there as well. We'll come back to that and see how we go. The sherry bottle makes my arm heavy. I've decided that if I were well enough to leave bed, then I'm well enough to apologise to be best for disrespecting her. To apologise for being a shameful daughter, an ungrateful daughter, for wanting a moment's peace. Of course, for father, an apology is not sincere without a gift of sherry. The walk to the Abbey tires my mind more than my feet. What do I say? What if she decides I need a husband like Eliseo Don Marion Medina? A man of good honour will bring you closer to God. Senorita Arias, trust in me, I have seen a lifetime of marriages. Remember, even Mary was pledged to Joseph. I think put those in quotes. Maybe I shouldn't go. Will she know if... will she know I were not sick if I never visited? Father will mutter to somebody about a terrible daughter, who will tell somebody else. Rumours, they are a wart. Can you not sneeze without everybody whispering of a cold? I pick up a label. Arias Sherry, MD CCCXLVI. Father is so cursed with disobedient girls, and without fine young sons. What will the label read if he must sell the Sherry house? We cannot. Uncle Federico has found Arias Sherry, had found Arias Sherry in Prussia, and Arcadia had posted a label from Scotland. Every new visitor to the house is shown the label, as father announces with pride. In Scotland, they prefer Arias to whiskey. He is prouder of his drink than his daughters. When Maria was a baby, still a baby, even at 11, father would soothe her with a finger dipped in Arias, or Arias. A, a Bluita, yes, nailed it, kind of. Um, Abluita may she rest was buried with Arias. Pork is cooked and served with Arias. And the father's skin flows Arias. When I'm married, they will raise a glass of Arias. When, but they do not want Isabel Arias Rivera. They want to drink Arias with Eliseo Don Marin and shout, Feliz matrimonio, Isabel Arias de Marin. No, they will not. The abbess will see it is wrong. So, if you've never seen, or I guess if you've never been one who's written literary fiction before, what's happened here is a really good example of what literary fiction relies on quite a bit to push stories forward. It's a pretty good example, actually. If you highlight this and start here and there, and you ask yourself, okay, what's happened? And the answer is she's walking to the priest, no, so to the abbess's house. Like that's the only sense of motion that we've got within this scene, and maybe her looking at the label. Um, I remember that there's a story by Ursula Le Guin called the Lathe of Heaven, or the Lathe. I don't know how you pronounce it. It's the machine that you make tool bits on. I think. But anyway, within that story, Ursula often writes quite like this. She'll have one simple action split over paragraphs worth of like spilling thoughts. And when I read that book, I sort of thought like it was weaving the narrative, and this weaves a narrative that happens over and around and through and behind the story. So it's a really clever way in order for you to tell detail to the reader. When people say show don't tell, they mean that your writing is motion driven and you're telling me too much detail. The cop um, picked up the gun from the table. It was cold in the room. Outside, the sun was just rising. He was tired. His shirt was a bit too starched. Like they're all details. But then, as soon as you get him to like do things like he crossed the room, agitated. Um, he looked at his watch, wondering where his partner was. He decided to pull out his phone and give a call. They're all motion details, and it all sort of weaves forward into the narrative. But what's happening here is that there are lots of things like here. Within this little section here, we get a sense that what the general perception is about her husband. In this, we get um, a nice little sort of micro snippet of the township that she's in and how they convey secrets to each other. This is a really nice description here of how the type of sherry that they grow is the total force of her life. And then it ends with this sort of really nice forward-driven motive. So this can be condensed with I'm walking to the abyss. She will change everyone's minds. But the way it's written is that it's built up very slowly. I mean, you can do this over pages, and this is sort of like a one page's worth. But because it's structured like this, it means that when you get to a conclusion here, you feel as a reader like it's deserved and that you understand the consequence behind it. This is a really good way to spin the story out and then crash it back down in the present tense with why are we hearing all of this? Ah, this is why. And when you do that, the whole thing just it opens up like a flower and you see all the details at once. It's really clever. Yeah, so just thought I'd like to stop for a moment and talk about that. While I drink tea too quickly and have it dribble down my face. I am a slob. Excuse me. The surrounding mountains give way to a taut horizon where the buildings of San Jose de Valle jut up like rocks in a stream. The spire of a church sends a stone thudding into my stomach. That's clever with the stream and the rock. An idea stirs. First, I will let Abess Marisol relax and Siparis. We'll talk of how well I performed at school, how I could even become a teacher in time. Then I will tell her, I know, she must already know. Then I will tell her... Yeah, I think here is a good opportunity to just restate the motive. Then I will tell her all about why I cannot marry this man. Heads, die, okay? We can't let jealousy overrule us. But we can all start making him feel bad for being good. It's the tall poppy syndrome. It's very big in Australia too. It's like if you're slightly better than everyone else, you gotta be crushed a little bit, you know? You can't be good at anything. Because that's rude. It's rude if you're good at something and other people aren't good at it. So rude, Mr. Herringbone. I love that. That totally fuels me. Good. Or you can let that jealousy seethe within you. As long as it makes you a better writer, that's good. Um, no, she must already know. Must everyone know so quickly? Before she even greets me, she will congratulate me and tell me I am now a woman, that God is proud, that everyone is excited, that Alicio... Chevalita, the stone in my stomach shatters. Quesitso, Pablo, you frightened me. Pablo has a rooster slung around his shoulder, which he puppets in my face. This is the like the onomatopoeia um for a rooster. I don't know what noise that makes. I'm guessing. Chevalier, who skips church, is now haunted by Apollo Diablo. His demon rooster impression catches the attention of a passing woman who scowls. Put it away, you fool. He flips the rooster in the air and slings it back over his shoulder. You treat your food like that? It makes it more tender. Where were you? What if he already knows? I was sick in bed. And now suddenly better. I've heard of this. Such a mysterious disease. It only strikes on Sunday mornings. You fool. What if I caught it from a sickly copper at the vineyard? Who could this copper be? He exaggerates his thinking face. Albano, Nilo. His face lights up. Me? But how could you have caught it from me? You can only get that Sunday sickness if you... He cranes his neck to kiss the rooster on the back. Are close. Pablo, I protest with warm cheeks. The town's streets are fertile soil where rumours grow like weeds. Even rumours I don't object to are not proper. Let's back up a little bit. I want to keep the flow going a bit, but I also just want to get this out of my mind before I forget it. So here, within the next page or so, we spend some time with Pablo. I think it's Pablo. Yes. We spend some time with Pablo and make mention of a few people around them. Of a few townspeople around them. Here, we should establish that Isabel is walking through a square or a village road or something. In doing so, that will help smoothing the idea that Pablo pops out of nowhere. He frightened me too, because we don't really know where did he come from? Did he pop out from behind a stall of oranges? You know when you're going through one of those chase scenes in like an action movie, and then there's the old lady with the wheelbarrow or the cart of oranges, and the bad guy has to knock the oranges over, and the oranges spill everywhere, and it's just orange everywhere. That's basically what I want to know. Like, did he pop out from somewhere? So those two things are quite important. This little idea here and this idea here, because it I think just be careful about having details pop in. You do a really nice job of painting the scene, which is fantastic. It's really good. So you just got to extend it to make sure that it actually covers details that are pertinent to the story information a bit later on. Otherwise, we get sort of stuff coming in from strange places. Hey Pashi, good to meet you. Good to meet you. Welcome to Lyrebird Edits. We're editing Herringbone's story tonight. We started last week, and we're continuing on with the first little bit. Yeah, so that's what we do here at Lyrebird Edits. We grab a story and we work our way through it, doing some line edits. But yeah, welcome. So we've got a story right now about Isabel, who lives in a Spanish town in 1903, who's being married off to, I think he's an American vineyard purveyor, isn't he, Herringbone? So there's this marriage of financial convenience, and Isabel's not too happy at being married away. Okay, and what or who rouses you from bed then? He taps his fingernail against the bottle. A gift? A best Marisol, I say too quickly. What does he mean, who? I have nobody else to visit, I add, and regret adding equally quickly. All Pablo says to that is raised eyebrows. How was your mother? Another torturous question. Everybody knows mother is dying, yet they still ask. It was the same for her mother, nights plagued with fever, coughing until coughing became too exhausting, melting into her bones. She is well. Pablo must have sensed something in my voice as he brushes down his cowlick and searches for the right words. It's good to hear then. In the silence, I check the street for life. All that surrounds is a pigeon peeking through the dust, its partner watching on, from a nearby fence. Pablo seems leaner than usual. And are you eating enough? We have a whole rooster, no? Your father pays fair. It is the debt that isn't fair. Pablo Rojas Cabo, I order you to eat more. I will bag you some barley for tomorrow. What will they say if Aris Sherry? Will they say, oh, of Aris Sherry if our coppers don't look hearty? Coopers, sorry. Let me double check. Someone who makes barrels? Yes. Yes? A cooper is a person trained to make wooden barrels, vats, buckets, tubs, and other staved containers. Oh, cool. They will say that the Capataz's daughter spends too much time distracting the coopers that they forget to eat. They might say a certain young cooper keeps the Capataz's daughter waiting in the bodega, who promised he would come. He lets out a singular chuckle, a young cooper who wishes to keep his job. The light in the street fades as clouds cover up the sun. I want to say something to make him walk with me, but the moment wanes. Well, you cannot let Marisol wait. His face perks up as he puppets the rooster again, but watch out. His soul is sunburst. I'm smiling real and warm as he pivots around on one leg and marches off before turning back around. He makes the noise again. I don't know how I'd say this. Kikikiri. He shakes the rooster, or shakes the rooster. But naive, boyish fool. Let's take this little section here. How many words is that? Yep, about 645. I think for the most part the dialogue serves very well to have a story pushes forward this little idea between Isabel and her obvious crush. It also makes really good reference as to the fact that they plan to meet in the bodega earlier on, and he'd stood her up. Let's go back through and just pick it apart a little bit, see how. Actually, we've got this section to do as well. I'll just skim through this quickly again and make a few line suggestions. Merchant who is Spanish but very worldly. Sorry, he's Spanish. My mistake. I thought he was American. The sunrise, eh? Yeah. Nothing beats a good sunrise. Unless it's a good sunset. That's just as nice. Kikiriki. Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. In Hungarian, the noise a chicken makes is tok 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 tok. And that's half of the Hungarian I know. Fun fact. Fun fact. Let's start up here and just go through and do a little bit of line editing. If you're able to make my arm heavy, if I were to decide if I were to roll them to leave it, I'm well enough to apologize if it's. I think it's as good. Yep. You've encompassed this, which is half a quote, half an emphasis. I think that's nice. The walk to the Abbey tires my mind more than my feet. What do I say? What if she decides I need a husband? Like, I'd suggest keeping it the same paragraph. Will she know I were not sick if I never visited? Will she? Maybe I shouldn't go. Will she know? Will she know I were not sick if I never visited? If I never visited, will she know I were not sick? I never visited. Will she know I were not sick? Father would mutter to somebody about a terrible daughter. This is good. This is clever, and I don't think it needs any changes. With the maybe one exception here. Sell the Sherry House. So, um, this is the first sign of financial troubles. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't recall up until this point reading about whether or not there was a, a hint of financial troubles or a hint of having to sell the Sherry House. This is a nice soft way to introduce the fact that her marriage off to this man may be slightly more desperate than we initially thought. Um, I'd consider about these troubles and how it affects these troubles and how it affects her. More about affecting the motive of the potential marriage. Just to sort of solidify that little seed that you're trying to plant in the reader's mind. Oh, sorry, I have missed quite a bit. Fluent, yes. Um, that's cute. About calling the cats. That's cool. Kiss or kiss. I'm up to here now, the answer. Yep, mispronounce everything. I feel like a dunce sometimes when I'm reading through other languages, and I'm like, just say it in an Australian accent. What could go wrong? Feliz matrimonio. Um, no, nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that. Ah, cool. Nice one. Nice. I guess you could reiterate it, but that will be up to you if you want to double down on it or if you want to make it a bit more subtle. You have a hyphen fetish. I'm partial to the occasional hyphen too. I think you learnt about the M dash recently, which Google seems to have a lot of trouble with doing M dashes. But we learnt today in Discord how to do a tasty M dash. I think, who was it? Was it Sean who dropped um the key code to an M dash? I'm just trying to find it again. Um, my apologies, can't find it. But yeah, so they can just replace these with M dashes. But yeah, when they're hyphens, we know what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, it was Sean G. Yeah. Hmm. And that should not be wrapped in spaces in narratives, it's journalism stuff. Do you mean like oh, that's interesting. So you're saying that like in a narrative sense they shouldn't you shouldn't have like baby M dash da 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 M dash further on? Hmm. Could just I'm reading on here before she yeah, so just here work it a little bit so that Pablo pops out of somewhere rather than nowhere. Um, Pablo has a rooster slung around his shoulder that he puppets in my face. Pablo has a rooster slung around his shoulder, comma, which he puppets in my face. I think this is correct. But I may be wrong. I'm usually good with the that which thing, but sometimes my brain doesn't click in with it. Correct me if I'm wrong, people in chat. Uh, Interesting. No space, just the M dash. I wonder if you continue to use it in a narrative, whether that would be if someone would pull you up on it. Oh man, I have cake. Where did that come from? I don't remember bringing this in. But I'm glad it's here. Let's have a little look at the dialogue here. Put it away, you fool. He flips the rooster in the air and slings it back over his shoulder. You treat your food like that? It makes it more tender. Where were you? What if he already knows? I was sick in bed. Whoop. Keep it on the same line. Because it's the same character thinking and then talking. I'd also consider maybe adding a bit of body language here. Oops. One of the really nice things about this dialogue is that it manages to convey quite a bit about the emotions, intentions of the character as well. But it couldn't hurt just every now and then to explicitly state what your characters are doing, whether they're crossing their arms, whether they're shifting from side to side. It's useful doing that because it's a very clear way you can indicate where they're at in terms of the kind of tone that they speak with. Magic cake. The best kind of cake. That's a really good rule like to follow actually, yep. I think I've heard that before. Which is for when the info is superfluous, that is for when it's necessary. In which case, that is necessary because it's flowing into the action directly. So it's not an incidental, it's a necessary thing. Cool, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And now suddenly better I've heard of it, such a mysterious disease, it only strikes on Sunday mornings. You fool. What if I caught it from a sickly copper at the vineyard? Who could this copper be? He exaggerates his thinking face. Albino Nelio. His face lights up. Me? How could you have caught it from me? You only get the Sunday sickness if you are close. This is really good. I love this sentence. It's a little bit cheesy, but I really like it. And I think I like it because it's cheesy. And suits the character. Like this tells you a lot about his character as well. One of the other reasons why I suggest adding body language or something else to indicate the tone is because without it here, we've got dialogue, 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 and then this is the first little bit of body language. I suggest adding one in the middle, like around here. Sometimes having too much back-to-back dialogue spoils the impact, especially so if the dialogue is quite characterful. And I think here it is characterful. It's not particularly flippant. They're jousting with each other, and so in that way, it's probably best to slow it down a little bit and add some body language just once in the middle. Grammar King, yeah, 100%. Congratulations. All hail the Grammar King, long live. You need to now appoint your royal court. The Queen, the Prince, the Jester, your knights. You have absolute power, being the king of grammar and all. But watch your back. Someone may come and stab you in the night and become the new king of grammar. just theoretically, if a woman were to perhaps murder Outrider SG, drip a bit of ear poison into his ear, she would become the queen. If she was in line to become queen, you got to make sure that that happens first. You got to be in line to be queen before you kill the king. You can't be both. Be jester and king. Um, I'm 50-50 about I protest with warm cheeks. It's the image it gives me is very strong, but it also makes me kind of giggle a bit. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm silly and immature. I'm silly and immature. But I know what you mean though. I protest with warm cheeks. Hmm. I'll take crowd consensus on that one. Let me guys. Oh, where are my words tonight? Let me know if this does it for you, whether you like the image that this is giving, or if you think it can be a bit stronger. Let me know. The town streets are fertile soil where rumours grow like weeds, even rumours I don't object to are not proper. And what or who rouses you from bed then? He taps his fingernail against the bottle. A gift? Abyss Marisol, I say too quickly. What does he mean, who? Now, you've done that a couple of times for sort of interjections with her self-doubt. I don't think it works here. I think if you get rid of it and just have a bit more dialogue, I have nobody else to visit. I add, and regret adding equally as quickly. Or Pablo says, Veda's raised eyebrows. How's your mother? This is good. The torturous question melting into bones. This is really nice. I remember liking that. She as well. Good to hear. And this is another hint at financial trouble. I think most of the rest of this is pretty good. What I was searching for was elements of what we're talking about here in a dialogue. I have the impression that this is a little bit too long, and I was looking for fat trim. But when I read through it again, all the elements work, and they all introduce something new and interesting to the story. Um, so we've got two dislikes from the cheek warming. Ah, no love for the cheek warming. Okay, well we can make a little note of it then. I protest with warm cheeks. Um, I think simple fist, simple, simple fix. I protest. Feeling my cheeks glow. Like that's I think the same thing, but just different, without warm cheeks. The same thing. Um, sorry to pop out for a little. Um, I need a drink or something. My brain's grinding to a halt, and I can feel myself stumbling over words. So I need to get a drink or something. Like in like 1 minute. But 10 more cheeks. Good. Yeah, good. It's a simple fix, that one, I think. Alrighty, hey, welcome back. Thank you for waiting. I have got myself a glass of milk and a Tim Tam and a glass of water, and I'm ready to go. And everything is just fine. Just fine. Nazgul is asking, where's my face? Interesting question, Nazgul. But I think a question that you should rather be asking me is, where is my carpet? Now, I don't want to alarm you, but the camera that you like, the view that you're currently looking at, may be a little closer to the carpet than you think. Maybe you're already there. Maybe that's the carpet. There it is. This is as close to the carpet as you'll ever be. The deeper you get, the closer you get to the atoms at the very bottom. I mean, it's kind of like one of those scenes where you you zoom in so close into the molecular structure that you start seeing like little universes. You peer in deeper and deeper. It's like that. I think that happened in Adventure Time all those years ago. Yeah, I hate to think about what a new viewer would would see with yeah. Hey, hi. That's a me being totally normal. I think it's the best time to join. It's not many Twitch streamers would show you their carpet. Now, mind you, this isn't just any carpet. That was a steamed, cleaned carpet. Mm, yep. You guys are very lucky. I treat you well. I do. I'm a great streamer and a good human as well. Like, that's what can I say? Gravitronic knots twisting in on themselves. Yeah. No, I was sort of going for like that scene in I haven't seen that scene in Adventure Time in years, but it's where you the whole frame zooms down into the molecular level, and it zooms down so close that it sort of it sees a new entry into the universe, and then the atoms become galaxies, and galaxies become planets, and it sort of goes back down onto the main character. It's a very cool scene. I'll see if I can find a gif of it later, but yeah, that's what I was going for with the carpet. Now let me go back and look at your reactions, the text reactions, and make sure that I was actually on the right track of a good joke then. I see you had a good debate about milk and cake. Yeah, I think maybe the milk might be better than the cake in this case. Not saying this cake is bad. I just think like what was good for me might have been milk. Alrighty, good. I'm glad you enjoyed the carpet. Now back to like the ancillary reason that we're all here tonight, which is some guy's story. Ernst Herringbone or yeah, some guy, some guy. It was a video chat. Thank you. I feel honored to have you here in my chat as well. Very good. So I was thinking as I was in the kitchen getting water and milk, what I should focus on here with this dialogue train. There's no strict reason why I think that it's too long. There's no one point that I point to in my head and go, okay, here's where it starts to sag. But to me, it introduces quite a few very distinct and good elements, but maybe too many all at once. That might be its biggest weakness. What are you talking about? So this is the sound you make. Oh, Ernst is that saying about? Okay, sorry, I got confused as to who was talking. I thought it was All Out Rider SG. No, actually, remember before when I said that I couldn't pick a point where it started to sag? I think I can. I think it's here. Um, in the silence, I check the street for life. All that surrounds is a pigeon pecking through the dust, its partner watching on from a nearby fence. Usually, when you have things like that, it sort of starts to signal the end of the conversation, which is half true. We do wrap up pretty soon, but I think you want to reserve something like this up until the point where you say one more spicy thing before the characters kind of depart. That's my hunch as to what this kind of text usually functions as. But right now, um, it's sort of it's dropped in there, and the pace goes. Ooh, um, what are you guys talking about? Am I missing something? Have I missed like a double entendre? Is this the small package we're talking? What are you guys talking about? I'm lost. I'm a very innocent person. I I don't get dirty jokes. Well, no, I do, but I'm also very stupid, and I can't follow what's going on in my chat box. Somebody help me out. Um, I can definitely feel them floating already, which is really nice. Um, all of this is good because it works together. These 2 points function well. How was your mother? Where are you off to? Um, Actually, look, on the whole, I think it might function. Um, there's a fair bit that they talk about, and it's very much it weaves from one new idea to the next in a way that's quite fluid, but at the same time, I feel like it's weighed down in a way that I can't suggest a fix for. Whether or not it needs to be fixed. But yeah, whether or not it needs to be fixed is another question. Look, I'm gonna leave it for now. I think Ernst may have a um some idea that may be floating around inside his head about how he wants this scene to be. I think they obviously flirt. The use of a chicken is really good. I don't think that would work well in modern flirting, but you know, 1903 flirting, man, this is about as steamy as it gets. Um, make sure the door's closed. We don't want anyone walking in from 1903. Um, let's leave this for now. I think I'm happy to sort of put a pin in this and say have a think about how the dialogue all fits together. I have no specific suggestions, but just a feeling that um it could be a little stronger, but I don't know how, and I feel like I've failed as an editor to make anything sensible out of that. But guys, let me know if you have any particular thoughts about that scene that we just witnessed with Pablo and Isabel flirting with each other. I think my stream does get a bit NSFW sometimes, mainly with the carpet. So that's pretty intense stuff. But Don't think I've ever had to use the NSFW filter. Anyway, let's do a another little read, and then we'll go back and do some more editing. Prayer is an auger that opens and cleanses the soul. A best Marisol's proverb whispers itself in my mind as I wait in the silence of the chapel. Instead, I feel a hole boring into my chest. My stomach is twined, and thoughts of Mother and Maria twined, and thoughts of Mother and Maria and the fate of the vineyard and him leave my breath heavy and punctuated. What will happen? The future is forever in an unknown distance, but the past is always just out of reach. Mama, Father, and baby Maria eating olives among the grapevines, wrapping my arms around Obelita's leg, full of life, as she cooks leche frita. Piggybacking Maria, light as petals, as a firework saver from Federico's travels to Italy bathes the new century's first night sky in sapphire stars. I think if you stack semicolons, you need to have a colon at the start. Spat pips return to dirt, as do buried bones, as do sky-born cinders, as do all that is past, all paths end in earth. But to know how many moments are left to cobble the road ahead, that is my prayer. That's good. Spat pips return to earth is a bit difficult to start a sentence with, but I think it's okay here. A nun greets me and leads me to her best Marisol's quarter. The nun and I both greet her with Ave Maria. She returns the prayer with a soft voice, her hands wrap around a willow cane that is studded with knots that creep up and continue to her knuckles. Senorita Arias Rivera, her eyes crease with joy. Are you well now? Reverend Mother, I bow my head. I apologize. She waves my apology away with a shaky hand. Please, you may sit. Let us talk. I brought you some sherry. From Father. He's a generous man. Please, may you leave it on the shelf. I scanned the room for a cup so I might offer some to her. Not even a candlestick adorns the room. It was bottled this week. Father is very proud of it. The grapes were harvested the year I was born, I tell her. I remember. Senor Arias Romero said the fruit were blessed the day you arrived, and now 14 years later we have proof. What a wonderful thought. A smile sinks into her cheeks. Your father cares very much for you, Isabel. Will you try some? Thank you, however, I have no taste today. Something within me sinks. I place the bottle down upon the dresser and spin the label away to face the wall. You sigh, a thick blanket warms her legs. Despite her clouded sight, her eyes find mine. Your sister told me you had woke with a fever, but something else troubles you. What's this doing here? You sigh, a thick blanket warms her legs. I don't know what's going on here, just, clarify a sentence. It's a bit, it reads like it's dialogue, but no one says anything. I'll go cancel. I'll highlight it instead. I don't think it's supposed to be there in some aspects. As much as time had weathered her, she was still shrewd. Suddenly my mind is a chip of cork floating at the bottom of a bottle. The abyss anticipates my reply. Same paragraph. Senorita Arias, you're no longer a child. Now, there are decisions that you must make. I exhale warm relief. Father spoke with you this morning? He did. She crosses the cane over her lap. He also told me of your upset. When her best Marisol searches for words, she closes her eyes and lets her lungs empty over prolonged, measured breaths as if to fill the room. A moment of silence passes as my insides unknot. I like this. This is great. Perhaps... so that we set the character tone of the abyss. What little descriptive flourishes like this do is that they yeah, as I mentioned here in my little comment, there's kind of set the temperature by which the reader engages with the character. So the earlier that you push this, the more that the reader understands how the character operates. Yeah. Rainbow says, I think they missed the tense up. I didn't pick that up either. It just sounded it when I heard it. Hey, Taika. Oh no, you can send your heat my way, please. It's so cold here. Ah, I hate Sydney. Sydney's winter. I really don't like winter. I'm cold. I'm bitter. Um, yeah. Send some of your heat my way, please. Yeah, I think we're just used to it. Like likewise, I don't know how you guys deal with cold. I don't deal with cold. No way. I mean, it doesn't even snow here. It's like tepid kind of winter for you guys. Sweat and sadness. That's what up. Yeah, it's winter for me. Yeah, it sucks. Take my winter away, please. It's the land of heat. I wish it was the land of heat, like perpetual summer. That would be nice. Ah, looks like you had a case of the murder fog. Yeah. It's cool as long as you don't have to drive within it. Yeah. Can be creepy. Naz, you are incorrect with your opinion there. I will take cold over hot any day. No way. I'd take cold over hot. No, hot over cold. The other one. My one. I'd take hot over cold. Some people do prefer the cold. As like some horrible people prefer the cold, like Naz. But yeah, I don't know. I think some people justify it differently. Snow, no, no. Yeah, but that's right. I hear this often. You get to put more clothes on, so, but conversely, you can't cool yourself down. Um, I ooh, that sounds like an offer I shouldn't take, Outrider. Hmm. No. Actually, on second thought, I don't mind my winter anymore. I'm okay with it. That's true, actually. Yeah, we do have a lot of people who live on the coast. Um, Now where was I? Yeah, push this little part here. I don't think there was a tense change. Yeah. Excuse me, minus 15 degrees. That better not be Celsius. That better like be one of your weird Fahrenheit things. I don't know. True, I don't know cold, which is why anything below like what is it now? Current temperature in Sydney. It's 9 degrees right now. Screw that, okay? Anything that's less than like 13, 14 degrees, I hate. I can't stand being being this cold. I don't like it. But I know that there are other parts of the world where it's like that would be a delicious summer day. So, beggars can't be choosy. I have to put up with the cold, and then I get my lovely summers. So, yeah. Cold-hearted soul I've ever seen. Oh dear. No, I'm a warm, lovely person. Sayaka, you missed the carpet, by the way. That was a real treat. You'll have to go back and watch it on the YouTube replay. Mm. Wow, what a high. Look at the. I think that's probably the peak. Yeah, of Lyrebird edits. Just that carpet. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, you snooze, you lose, bud. You missed it. It was sexy stuff. The chat box doesn't lie. It was good. It was good carpet. Um, Now let me let me get back into the edit here. What I'd like, just jumping back up to the start. Two things. Good. Good opportunity to give a little insight into the chapel. I'm really keen what a turn of the what a turn of a century chapel looks like, and what a turn of a century chapel looks like, and what not just what it looks like, where she's waiting, the and kind of atmosphere that she's sitting inside of. That's something I really want to see. And it'd set the tone a bit as well. Likewise, I'd also like to, in the same way that it'd be good to see the chapel grounds in the last paragraph. Pagapraf. Okay. Paragraph. So to here. What does the inside of her quarters look like? I'm also aware that you don't strictly need to do granular level detail within every scene that you paint. Sometimes you can just plow ahead, and that's quite a valid choice. What adding detail does, however, is that it allows the pace to slow down and the reader to emotionally prime themselves to receive this kind of detail. Here, it slows the pace down and allows you to step into the room with Isabel, so that the narrative doesn't run ahead of you too much. You want to be in the moment a bit more with her, I think. So yeah, simple fix, just add more. I'm still cooling down from the carpet. No, I'm sorry, my actually can you clip. Yeah, I don't know how clips work. I've seen people make them, but I don't know how you can clip. If one of the longer viewers has had access, they could skip back in the video and make a clip. Yeah, maybe. So Ernst says, how are you finding the pace right now? I'm finding myself unsure where to stop for a bit and look around. Seems you think it's fine to add a bit more scenery. Definitely, I think when you cut into a new scene with a little cut mark here. I've never seen someone do a slash. That's kind of cool. I always think that there's ample opportunity at the start of scenes to stop and look around. It's a bit of an intuitive thing as well. You know when your story needs it, but I think for me, I always appreciate it when an author starts a new scene with a bit of a, okay, bear with me here, here's where we are. And that paints a completely new and separate image, and then your characters come in and do their thing. You don't have to do that though. You could start a scene in darkness and just lead an idea from here down into a new scene. Totally fine, completely valid choice. But I think that I think pace wise, I think it's good. It's the pace is kept alive by all the new information that we're being given to piece into Isabel's life. In the space of 9 pages here, we've got a very fleshed out character with a very complicated motive and problem that's being thrust in on her. So the pace is good, I think, even though nothing strictly has happened yet. We've got a lot of information and a lot of interesting scenes that have happened. I don't mean that nothing has really taken place, but the focus of the scenes are really more about establishing her as a character and establishing her predicament. So, in that sense, I feel like you can afford yourself a bit more time to paint the scenes out a little bit more. sometimes it's very much needed, like in the start of this scene here, where Isabel is moving through the town square, I think, or along a road, but we have no indication of that. So definitely flesh it out there. And here I just think it'd be nice, classically Everett with the the pooper burger. Good question. Who's up next? I think um yeah, it'll be Ernst again, and then I think Outriders, um, with the reworking of what we were doing last time. Yeah. Hmm. Yep. So I think from consensus, I think your pace is good. Yep. I'm intrigued to know more. I feel like I want to share in her predicament. I want to know what happens. I think my stream order went Outrider, Naz, Herringbone, Outrider, Naz. Yeah, I think that's right. Yep. I think I've got you booked in after that. Yeah. You gotta pencil me in. Um, yeah, a couple of months ago I was just doing it stream by stream. Like I didn't even have a queue. I just a couple of streams. It'd be the day before, and I'd have no one to edit, and I'd sort of think, oh, what am I going to do for editing? And I'd either edit my own stories or find one quickly, or do like a writing exercise. It always works out in the end. Yeah, like if you want to stake out a space, yeah, please feel free. Just say, hey, I want to take this time slot, and I'll keep you in. You don't need to tell me what it is you want edited. You could just stake out different times. Yeah. It is understandable. If you want to move this up further, which I maybe recommend, you can replace it with another little micro scene here of the abyss just taking a moment to go, okay, this is going to be a shit situation, but we need to get this out of the way, and I think I know what she's going to do. Yeah. So she needs to sort of muster up a bit of maturity and a bit of like, I have to do this, don't I? So, yeah. 10 hours a day, my god. 10 hour Lyrebird edits. 10-hour carpet streaming. 10-hour carpet steaming. Hmm. Hang on. Petition? Oh, I'd love to do more days a week, but I just don't have time. If I wasn't doing a PhD, I'd say yes, but um, yeah. No, I don't mean porn. I mean, well, carpet steaming is very sensual. Steam porn. Oh dear. Yeah, so here's the best. It is understandable. I have shared these seats with many young women to be over time. I'm excited, many anxious, but most frightened like yourself. Of course, no matter what one feels, there is always a choice. Reverend Mother, I have already made my choice. But it is not the choice I speak of. Her marbled eyes creep shut. A foul gravity pulls me deeper into my chair. Yeah, that's cool. Also, special note to this. Which is a really beautiful way of concisely talking about someone's personality or someone's reaction. That's a really nice little thing here. His soul is sunburst. Really nice. Foul gravity pulls me deeper into my chair. Also really nice. She continues, same paragraph. Matrimony is a contract writ by God. It is a unity of trust, not only between a husband and his wife, but a trinity with Jesus. This gilded contract is signed with blood, and forever sealed by trust in what he has ordained. It is only you who can seal that pact in faith. I sink and sink toward the floor. Reverend Mother, slippery words writhe. What determines what is and what isn't his plan? Are sins scripted? The shoulders rise above her hunched spine. Life is a path, each hill intended, each turn predestined. Her wrinkled cheeks fall. Faith is trusting to continue forward. Why is marriage right now? To be swept from Mother, she is worsening. Or Maria, or completing my bachillerato. What if Father sells the vineyard? Who will cook with Maria? Or help her with school? She's too young to be alone. Who will walk with Mother? Will Maria read Federica's letters to Father? What of Pablo? Isabel, she hums. Go out to the kitchen and ask for a cup. Let you pour yourself some sherry. We will talk of womanhood. I make it a few steps out of Yabessa's door before the cobblestone turns to a blur below me and I lose my footing. Close my eyes one hard blink and let the rest fade away. There is still time to show her that Father is wrong. Through the other side of the cloister, I can see two young nuns walking and whispering together. Cool. So if we've got a mention of the cloister here, yep. Good to mention in your scene building opener, the last scene. This detail would be good to mention in your chapel building opener within the last scene. Yeah, that's in reference to these sections here. I think this is good. I don't see any particular points where I think I need to make a comment, which is good. This is a really nice closing statement to everything that's kind of touched on in here. I think that's very well done. Cup below me, I think it's alright. Yeah, I think you may be right. The taking down a peg say. Let's deal with what Sayaka's saying here about I make it a few steps out of the abyss's door before the cobblestone turns to a blur below me, and I lose my footing. I think she's drunk, right? This makes me think that she's falling over, which is why I think I agree with Sayaka's suggestion here. Or even turns to a blur below me. Like, if you cut all of that, the cobblestone turns to a blur below me. Maybe something like that. Oh, teary eyes. Ah, okay, okay. The only reason why I thought the other, why my thoughts went in the other direction was because of the sherry. I assumed that this was a consequence of her drinking the sherry. Sometimes scene transitions can bite you in the ass a little bit. If you have a little gap and a new scene or a new subset, sometimes the last thing that happens, or the last two things that happen, inadvertently, directly... No, it can't be inadvertent and direct. It'd have to be inadvertently affect how the reader sees this scene. Yeah. Also a fair assumption here. Door below the cobblestone. Yeah, we don't strictly even need under my feet. I'm gonna suggest that we don't have it turned to a blur. So I make it a few steps out of the abyss's door. Or yeah, replace this with a replace this. Replace this with a with a more apt crying metaphor, I think, just to clear it up a little bit. My PhD in literature, gosh, imagine that, doing a PhD in literature. Close. It's molecular science. It's sort of the same thing, right? Yeah. I study proteomics, which is the science of, oh, what is it? What do I do? So it's the study of proteins in the context in which they're found, like a mass kind of sense. Now, what that means, I'm trying to translate this out of my everyday science gobbledygook. We basically study every protein we can find inside cell systems. So if you've got like a tomato plant and you want to see what kind of proteins are in the leaves, we're interested in like a snapshot. We want to find as much information as we can about what the protein networks are doing within cells. So you may have heard of genomics, which is the study of all the gene patterns within cells. So proteomics is like that, but it's with proteins and not genes. And proteins are cool. They're like little snakes of chemicals that wind around themselves and make really interesting structures. That's kind of responsible for everything interesting that biology does. Um, the variety in proteins means that um, sometimes large structures of tissue can be formed from single proteins, like the muscles are actin. Like all of your muscles are just long strands of repeated protein units. Other times there could be the things responsible for like letting chemicals into and out of cells. They're really interesting things. That's what I do. I do protein stuff. Hmm. Micro something or other, more or less. Yeah, it's closer than literature. So Naz asks, how'd you get into doing editing? Almost a year ago, actually, I started this Twitch channel. I thought, it'd be fun if I could look at other people's work and I suppose just connect with people and talk about writing. And I thought, well, I've been writing stories for so long for fun. I might as well try my hand at just going through other people's stories and seeing what happens. So I guess I got into editing because it wasn't science, and it gave me something to do with my life that's not just lab work and computer programming, which is part of my PhD. But yeah, it's something that I do that I think is quite different, and I think that's why I really like it. What? What do I even make with a statement like this? Psycho, I'm shaking my head at you. Just questioning your merit. Science streams. It's really funny. Like, I've always loved the idea of science communicating, but I've never done anything about it because I feel like if I wanted to do things that aren't science, I'd rather go like deep into the non-sciences rather than do like a communication plugin for a science, if that makes sense. I might just be talking weird right now. I don't know, but I like writing stories and editing because it's quite different from what I do with the proteins, and I think that variety is really nice. Are you a scientist too, Ernst Herringbone? I think I've asked you before, actually. But you're a scientist too? I think I must have forgotten that. I'm sorry if I've forgotten. Oh, thank you. Well, if we come to another point in time later on in the stream where we're not talking about editing or carpets, I guess I could talk about science too. So we'll keep. Oh, lime. Oh, Western blots. There we go. Damn. Um, I don't like Western blots. I'm philosophically against them. Um I feel like we have better techniques now to deal with establishing protein expression profiles. I don't know. It's such a bread and butter thing, a Western blot. People love them, but I don't know. Like I'm a bit thingy about antibodies and stuff. Yeah. So sorry for everyone else. Yeah, this is a pretty core technique that we use. Like they're still good. They're the golden standard of, is my protein here? Yes or no. Um, yeah, I sort of want people to be more engaged with different techniques as well, I guess. I've heard stories about this latest science guy losing his sense, but I can't really comment on it because I don't truly know myself. I did a BSc, cool, nice. I'd say that qualifies you as a scientist. Yeah, embryology, yeah. Oh, antibody. Very clever. Very clever. Let's go back into a story. For all the horrors of the world, let Maria be a nun. She could cook and be close to God and let nothing else be human. Be human? Be between. I fixed my posture and turned my face away, looking through the arches as I passed for nuns. Of course, how could I be wed now? It is almost harvest time. Father can't have distractions at this time of year. Mother is too tired, so Maria and I will have to give extra help. A wedding would be too much stress for Mama anyway. Father has been under too much pressure. Has warped his mind. Perhaps the best Marisol doesn't even know about Father's debt. He is too proud to admit it. Now, he wears his nicest coats whenever he leaves for town. If I can show her that I have a plan, that I am needed for my family, she will see. If the wedding is delayed, then eventually Father will see his mistake. The debt will be paid. My help, Mother will recover, and Maria and I will read to her among the grapes again. Uncle Federico will return in the new year and tell us stories of distant countries far into the night. We'll eat sweets that Maria has made. She and I will knit a scarf together, racing from either end. She will win because she's much more careful than I am. She'll close her eyes and make a wish every time a new log is placed in the hearth, because years ago I told her that is how dreams come true. That is how dreams come true. She would wish for bluebells to grow in the garden, or to see a fox among the snow, and I'd wish for the world to stop and let only those moments remain. I'd wish with every log. But each would eventually crumble to embers. Maria would fall asleep in my lap, Federico would run out of stories, and the night would pass, and time would burn on ceaselessly as the evening faded. This is great, really good. We need to split it into... Do we need to split it? Let me go back to 100%. It's a big one. It doesn't have to be cut, but if we were to cut it somewhere... Here. The debt would be paid. That's probably a decent place to cut it, because then this focuses more on the uncle and the wishes being made. Oh, okay. Naz says don't split it, I love it as is. Yep, I'd say that's fair. It's big, but it flows together, so... Yep. Trying to get him. As much as we'd like to tear him down, he's doing a damn good job. Damn you, Ernst Herringbone, with your quality literature. For all the horrors of the world, let Maria be a nun. Now, this is an interesting little section here. And I wonder if, classy, classy Herringbone. For all the horrors of the world, let Maria be a nun. I really like this because it says so much about this. Isabel, she hums, go out to the kitchen and ask for a cup. Let you pour yourself some sherry. We will talk of womanhood. Combine that with for all the horrors of the world, let Maria be a nun. Now, when you read this scene in isolation, it may actually be a bit strange for this sentence to be there. She comes out, she's crying, I give my eyes one hard blink and let the rest fade away. There is still time to show that father is wrong. Two nuns whisper together, for all the horrors of the world, let Maria be a nun. In isolation, it might seem a bit sort of out of place, but I think given what she's just heard, and I imagine she would have heard quite a bit, um, this works really well for all the horrors of the world. Which I think goes into this idea of her life being constrained by her path towards marriage and being the financial pawn of her family, so to speak. So let's go on. I can hear clattering behind the kitchen door. Can I check something? Sorry. I may have preempted something that may not have happened. Be careful with this and with breaks between the paragraphs. I don't know if that's something that I've accidentally added to this from a formatting perspective. Um, when I see a break between paragraphs, I think of a new scene starting. So it's very obvious when a scene starts in this story because of this, right? But then you've got these gaps between the paragraphs, and sometimes I don't know if it's a like a new time gap. Like there, I think it was. Now here, there's another time gap, but as a reader, I don't know if I haven't got a clue of how far beyond this scene takes place. The end of this paragraph is go to the kitchen, pour yourself some sherry. We're going to talk about womanhood. Gap. I make it a few steps out of the door before I start crying. Um, this. Then we get to this scene, this sentence here, which is basically, oh, okay, well, I assume a lot of time has passed between this point and this point because she's obviously heard the truths of the world, and she's saying, I hope Maria doesn't ever have to deal with what I'm dealing with right now. This time gap here makes me think then that the whole conversation has taken place. And then we go down. Except then we get to here. I can hear clattering behind the kitchen door, and I think to myself, wait, hang on. Is she only now just going to the kitchen? I thought that it had already happened here downwards. Like I thought it happens in this space here, and then the story continues on from this point after the event. So my suggestion then is to just be clearer with how the time skips work, and if possible, start the very start of a time skip here should give us a clue as to how much time has taken place between here and now and what order of events are. Yep. Right, okay, there you go, yep. Yep. Yeah, I've seen a couple of interesting ones, Sayaka. I've seen asterisks. What do I use? What do I use? Let me check. Nope, can't find an example of that one in that story. Sometimes I like to write with no time skips and to push the scene into the new times. Like I time skip, but I don't signify it, and I push the writing straight forward into the new scene. Either by describing characters moving from one place to another, or just cutting, but trying to make it as fluid and crossovery as possible like this. I haven't got a good example of what I do, but there are lots of different styles that you can do. Hmm. Right, right. I think I agree with you there, Sayaka. Um, I mean, not partly because it's what I've just done in one of my stories, but in an objective sense, I think if you can find a way to weave time skips together in a narrative sense, it's easier to do with literary fiction because the elements are a lot more esoteric, like in what we were talking about before, where Isabel moves towards the chapel, and that's one scene, but it's like a page's worth of description about her problems and her predicaments. It's a lot easier to time skip in a literary story like this. Yeah. Right, right. So that's a good suggestion too. Sorry, my words are a little all over the place tonight. But your suggestion there about Isabel just flipped to the bird and decided to go get some a cup for the sherry. So that's one way to conclude that here. You signify that she's going to go off and do that, and then we immediately know that the next paragraph isn't a time skip. But also be careful that like some readers will interpret your new paragraphs as time skips. I did. I assumed this was like a sub time skip, and then this is a scene break where it's very much like a very much a broken scene. Not broken as in fundamentally bad, but broken as in like it ends here and it starts here. That's what I meant. Hmm. Let's push on. When she's down at the kitchen, I can hear clattering behind the kitchen door. Let me zoom back in for the people on mobile. Oh, it's almost 11. Oh, time flies when you're steaming a carpet. I can hear clattering behind the kitchen door. I take a moment to let my face settle, to look proper again, and then knock. From behind the door emerges a number I recognize from the time Maria and I chopped vegetables for a charity meal. Sister Belisa. Belsa. It is nice to see you. She greets me with a warm smile. She doesn't sound like a nun. She sounds like a nice person. I'm just joking. Something bubbles in the distance. A streak of flower stripes her habit. Good afternoon, Senorita Arias Rivera. It's lovely to see you. She lets the door creak open. How much more mature you look every time I see you. The look she gives me is knowing. Thank you. If I may ask, Sister Bilsa, I would like a cup, 2 cups, for Reverend Mother Marisol and myself. Of course, water too. Thank you, sister. Yes. As Sister Bilsa disappears to retrieve water, a pair of footsteps echo down the hall and come to stop behind me. Senorita Arias Rivera, questions Father Aza. Father Aza, good afternoon. Apologies for my absence this morning. He raises a hand to excuse my silence. Without the light of a chapel, his eyes are dark and his face gaunt. He peers over my shoulder and says, "Allow me, sister, I wish to talk with her." Um, yeah. Uh, this is missing. Stop behind me. This little part here is missing a sentence where Isabel turns and takes in the sight of Father Aza. A short description, or not. Actually, you don't even need to add a short description because that's done later. But she needs to turn and see Father Aza here. And then you can get rid of the questions Father Aza, because that comes sort of prior to the dialogue. So not only are you now front-ending the dialogue tag, which is my personal um, hobby horse, but yeah, you're also introducing a scene where she turns and acknowledges his presence, because this currently reads like someone's behind her, and then she speaks. The father speaks to her. She knows who it is, but we haven't got a grounding for the reader to understand it. I think that's a simple fix here. Yeah. It's like an only meme. Yeah, damn it, Herringbone. Why is your story so structurally good? Hmm. Actually, sorry. So I can mention the formatting. But yeah, like it's a different type of edit where you have someone's work that I think is maybe perhaps a bit more polished and a bit more robust as well in terms of the line by line fluidity of the writing. That being said, though, when you go through a story like this and you edit it, you kind of have to operate in a different mode as well. You're less focused on the line by line implications of what's being written, and you're paying more attention to the pulse, the tempo of the story, and the kinds of imagery that are being generated, as well as how it's all fitting together in a narrative sense. So I think when you're editing your own work, this is just for everyone out there in the chat box, Evolve Ernst. um, yeah, try there's a temptation, I think, for you as a writer, speaking generally to the you, the hypothetical you here, um, to worry about both of those things in tandem. So you've got like you have to worry about, oh, like is the writing, um, in a line by line sense, is it up to scratch? How's the story arc fitting in with this section here? And I think it's difficult when you're not as confident in your own writing, um, as you would be like later down the track in a few years' time when you have more experience or technique, so to speak. It's certainly a lot more easy to edit a story when you don't have to worry about the line to line stuff, but um, that being said, you get better as a writer at doing the line by line stuff by being a good editor to yourself and to push yourself to be better in a line by line sense. Perhaps a lot of early or middle stage writers feel as though um, the the development of a story takes priority over the actual structure of it. I'd sort of argue the reverse, but I can't give that as a general rule. I guess maybe the what I'd encourage you to do is to just keep writing and keep practicing. That's the best thing to do. But also when you edit as well, don't worry if you go through it and you think, oh, my lines aren't particularly good. I wonder how it affects the story. Just don't stress it. You'll get better at it the more attention you focus to going through it slowly and carefully. I think that's probably what you want. Oh dear. Happy Potter. Yes, I'll wait, but no guarantee on the bated breath. Yeah, I'm sorry if that last little piece of advice was a bit waffly. I'm thinking about it now, and I'm like, oh damn, I just waffled an awful lot then. So feel free to edit my waffly advice and just take from it what you think is useful, because I don't know, I'm just one guy with my orange fluoro hoodie and my Twitch channel. So, yeah, find what's useful for you and whatever makes you a better writer. Just go for that. Try the feel of yours. Cooking stream. Mmm. I do like waffles. Um. So, Father Asa, good afternoon. Apologies for my absence this morning. And then if you don't have to describe him here because you describe him here, and that's good. He peers over my shoulder and says to the nun, and says to Sister Belisa, allow me, sis. Actually, you don't need that because we say sister in the dialogue. Um, I wish to talk with her. With silence, Sister Belisa passes him the water and returns to the kitchen. You still look pale, says Father Razor as he continues down the hall. Father Razor, I prayed in the morning so that I might visit Reverend Mother Marisol. I soon felt better. I am glad. Today I was speaking with Senora Cortez de Ruz. You were once so close, always talking, but now church is always so busy with people. He's referring to Pablo, the scoundrel who dares joke in church. Even priests feed on rumors. She is married now, and her pregnancy makes her popular. Yes, and Senor Ramos Ruiz is a wonderful husband. A well-respected man. Do you remember their wedding? I don't know if this feeds into each other. You were once so close, always talking, but now church is always so busy with people. The but there, and while I like a good but, like any other person who enjoys a fine conjunction, you don't have to, you have to be careful that the but here isn't forming a negative connotation to the first phrase. And if you are intending to do that, make sure that they're actually linked logically. You were once so close, always talking with this girl, but now, I expect this to be, you have grown apart with the winds of time, or something flowery like that. But now church is always so busy with people, so it's kind of like a 1-2, but the 2 doesn't fit the 1. And I'm not really sure why the priest is saying this, so I won't reiterate that, but I'll just put a comment here. The negative conjunction means that we are expecting the phrase first phrase to link with the second in a juxtaposition of ideas, but this second idea doesn't fit, doesn't seem, I might just be stupid, but it doesn't seem to fit with what he was originally trying to say. Maybe what you're going for is, you used to be close with her and she was a good influence, but now people within my church are so gossipy and they chat so much that, you know, like, you used to be such a good girl, what's happened? Maybe that's the kind of impression that you want to put instead, but I think right now it's a little different. Oh, hey, Pumpkin Pie Addict. Nice, 9 a.m. Cool. Well, hello. Hi. Yeah, enjoy your writing. Thanks for popping in. Good luck with your literature endeavors. Good. Don't like's a good part. The other thing about this as well is that he then refers back to the girl, but the way that it's narrated, it goes girl, boy, boy, girl, in terms of the implication of the paragraph. So this is a little messy. Just clarify the main idea of what this is talking about, is I think my advice. Yes, and Senor Ramos Ruiz is a wonderful husband, a well-respected man. Do you remember their wedding? A fallen leaf scratches along the pavement as it takes wind. Father Asa waits for an answer that I refuse to offer. Isabel, I talked with your father today, and why not with me? My voice echoes off the stone. He lets out a sigh. Full stop. Your father and your mother have a lot of pressure upon them. Think of how this will bring light to their lives. Your mother wants to see her daughter married, to know she is with a caring husband. He anticipates my protest. Isabel, please listen. I have made this decision with care. On Saturday, you will be married. I would put a little Coloroy here about do you remember their wedding? Add a follow-up. That sort of hits the nail on the head. Ah, such merriment. Such joy on the faces of everyone that they love. Like, this priest probably doesn't need to be too subtle. Like, he should just follow it up and be a bit more blunt in what he's trying to suggest. Do you remember their wedding? Do you remember how happy it made everyone? Do you want to make everyone happy? It's got to have that kind of like lengthy implication, and I think right now it's a little too subtle and soft. I think he's got to remember that he's talking with a 14-year-old girl, so I think he's got to sort of be a bit more parochial. Is that the word I want? Um, no, not parochial, and not at all. It's patronizing, or patriarchal, in a different sense. Is patriarchal? Can you use the word patriarchal in that sense? Is patriarchal even a word? Let me ask Google. Yep, it is patriarchal. Relating to or denoting a system of society. Oh, government controlling men. No, okay, that relates more to the patriarchy. Um, what was I thinking then? Um, Patronizing. Yeah, he wants to be patronizing to her. Yeah, I agree. I like how this ends. Paternalist. That's exactly it. I knew it was close to the patriarchal. It's paternalist. Yeah, and I think that's how he's got to treat her. Oh, well done. Well done. Very nice. Yeah. So I fall scratches along the pavement as it takes the wind. I think Sayaka's suggestion there is something that I had in my head too. Um, it's a little this little interjection um can be expanded to slow down the pace and hone in, or I don't want to keep using the word prime the reader, but what it can do is it can slow down the pace and act as a little preamble to the punch that she's about to receive. Like a moment of silence, so to speak. Now, the actual falling scratches along the pavement as it takes wind. I guess this would imply autumn. Fall. It implies autumn for me because that like a scratchy leaf has to. A leaf can't scratch unless it's scratchy, and it can't be scratchy unless it's old and dying. Um, you could set the season here. I don't know what season we're in. Are we in winter? In terms of the story world, I don't remember if we established it. If you haven't established it, take a moment to do so when you describe the chapel, or when you describe the cloister and the nuns. Describe some of the colour in the trees, and then when we get this scratchy leaf coming in, it might make a little more sense. You could also say that, you could also just declare here, like, I feel the unease eat into me, and I seek solace by looking around. I see that the wind is blowing some leaves, but etc., etc. So you can slow it down a little bit here, I think. Yeah. Let that be a lesson to you, Sayaka. Don't suggest anything unless you want me to be like, yeah, good suggestion. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Yeah. This is all on your head. You could have stopped this. You could have stopped this. Yeah, cool. I'm glad that someone else picked up on that too. The person was second paragraph. Okay, yep. What do you mean Outrider SG? Or the person was second paragraph? Yeah, high five, Naz. Yeah, you and I were both right. Let's do a little more. It is 11:13 p.m. Yeah, I'll wrap up in about 15 minutes, I think, or whenever my voice starts to get a bit too there. Some less than stellar um, dialogue suggestions from Real Sayaka. Let's put those under consideration for now. Thank you, but I think we'll be okay with something a bit different. Something a bit different. Father Asa and Father Asa's and Marisol's words of duty and womanhood clear the passage of time. I pour Arius with Marisol and focus on its sweetness, letting its warmth dissolve the world around me. The walk home is measured in moments of consciousness, a concerned look from a passing woman, a stone rolling underfoot, the smell of roasting tomatoes. Yet somehow the vineyard finds me. Its rows extend like claws raked through dirt. Yeah, I think this is a good use of a semicolon. Pale horizon is fissured by a twist of smoke. It is the time between times. The sun hasn't set, but its heat hadn't set, but its heat had faded. Inside the half burns in anticipation of the night. And then I see Maria adjusting her shoes as she crosses out towards the stable. My pace has a pulse. Let us have a moment alone. This is pretty dense. Well, I want to talk about this. This is, first up, like a nice compliment. I've never seen, like the liminal hour described like this. The time between times. It's so simple, but it's so nice. I love that. I have no class anymore. Hey, Pandas from Mars. Good to see you. Um, let's start from the beginning of this. Father Aza's and Marisol's words of duty and womanhood blear the passage of time. It's a very thick opener, not in the least because we've got a double couplet here. Aza's and Marisol's duty and womanhood, which work well as a pair. Blear the passage of time is an interesting way to say it. Because it then does. I pour Arius with Marisol and focus on its sweetness, letting its warmth dissolve the world around me. The walk home is measured in moments of conscious. So we go, okay, so it's sort of like her consciousness is like a pebble that's being scattered across the face of a still pond. It jumps between different things, and one moment she's here, and the next she's here, and then the next she's here. Blear the passage of time, though. Can I suggest maybe one thing that might clear this up and make it a bit stronger? Don't use the phrase "blear the passage of time," but put something similar in. Father Aza's and Marisol's words of duty and womanhood weigh down upon my heart and make meaningless the passage of time. Let me explain why. Okay, at the risk of sounding like purple prose, or at the risk of making it too masturbatory, um, which it sounds weird to say that, like, and even in like a jokey sense, but you don't want your writing to be a wank, right? You don't want to override it and make people think, oh, aren't I clever? But if you do add a couple of things like this, um, what it does is it cushions a very complex idea through repetition. Father Aza's and Marisol's words of duty and womanhood weigh down upon my heart. Full stop. Okay, I get that. Soon the passage of time becomes meaningless. Okay. Seconds are words, words are nowhere. I pour Arius and Marisol and focus on its sweetness, letting this, then this happens, then this happens. For me, this works a little better because we spend a bit more time waxing lyrical about the emotional weight of what's gone on. Everyone knows prime wanky time. It's 8:57 a.m. True words, true words. Excuse me, let me go back above this chat box here and I'll read down. Pandas from Mars says, heat had faded. Say that fast 10 times and you will summon the undead lord. I love it. That's great. Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Of a night, of the coming night, minor detail. Where was that? Of, um... Yep, good suggestion. That's really nice. Good job, Saika. Um, I can't believe how many words are still in Blear was it? Oh really? You hadn't encountered the word blear before, real psycho. That's interesting. Yeah, it's one of his funny words. I've known it for quite some time, but using it's a bit funny. It's a bit of an unusual word. Hmm. So Pumpkin Pie Addict suggests, why not just have her think of the words instead of saying passage of time? Have her actively do something after the impact of those words, but a little different from the opening of the story. Yeah, that's an interesting point. So why not just have her think of the words instead of saying passage of time? Yeah, that's a great suggestion. You can substitute this with their actual words or their concepts summarized succinctly. Succinctly. Well done, Lyrebird. Edits. That's a great SUSCINCTOY. There we go. Well, at least autocorrect got it. Yay. Yay. I'm a great writer. I'm a good writer. Anders from Mars says, contain wisdom that is only brought out by braving the winds. Contain wisdom that is only brought out by having the winds of time. just he just wanked his train of thought. Oh, cool. That's two people that haven't had Bleer. Oh, interesting. Always are funny and unusual. That's quite wise. Yeah. Sucking. You didn't see that, Saga. Okay, you didn't see that. Succinctly. I'm sorry. I've forever tainted the image of me inside your head. Yeah, but very good suggestion, Pumpkin Addict, with getting her to reiterate the concepts that she's learned. I would like to see that too. Yeah. Now here, I don't recall. I don't recall seeing the homestead beforehand in the opening scene. Sorry, I don't want to write homestead. I want to write home. In the opening scene, we get a great shot of the vineyards, but maybe here is a good time to paint their home for us. Mm, except that we've had a section where she is under the influence of their words. You can be clever here, and you can have her walking blind through all of these places, right? And then all of a sudden she comes to her home, and time seems to reset and crystallize for her. If you do it that way, that would make the emotional impact of describing the home a lot clearer as well. That would be really, really clever, actually. I'd love to see that. Um, so if you, for instance, get her to stop and admire her home, while um, also saying that her perception of time re recrystallizes because she is in a friendly place, it emotionally primes the reader to invest in the scene. It makes the home something special. Right now, in some ways it's okay, but it's a bit thin because then we go into this dialogue with Maria, which I might leave till next stream actually. But I think that we also need a bit of grounding as well. We need a bit more of the visual in her life. I think that would make this scene really interesting. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting too. Like when she's going along here, she'll see things that remind her of what she's been been listening to, like an active engagement. I've never really thought of that, pandas from Mars, and I don't want to think about that actually. That's hmm. But yeah, event over reaction. Yes, I suppose there is. They are in the country, and it's 1903, so it's like a sort of big agricultural village. Yeah, guys, let's call it there. Let's put it up to here. Bonbonsita is where we're going to leave it for tonight. Mm, yeah. Once again, Ernst, Mr. Herringbone. Yeah, well done. There's a lot of really complex emotions that are being raised within this narrative, and I think you're dealing with it really well. It's written in such a way, it's written in such a way that we get inside Isabel's head, but she doesn't feel like she's a collection of facts. She feels like she's a girl grappling with a very complicated situation, and the way that it's told is very amenable to us emotionally engaging with her. That's the core of this story as well. It's the emotional engagement. So hopefully soon we'll see, like, I think it's coming to a point where the conflict will start to rise and the stakes are going to be raised. Um, yeah, and it's beautiful too. It's very fluid, um, and the way that it's structured, both on a sentence level and a paragraph level, really help to make the ideas smoothly transmittable to the reader, and I think that's really important. So yes, well done. My my hat off to you. Okay, yeah, that's interesting too, Pumpkin Biotic. So if you see it, if she sees her future reflected for her in how she's going through, oh, bye bye comment, bye bye. But yeah, that's a good suggestion. If she sees people around her, um, and sees herself within those people. Yes, I'm not wearing a hat. You have to imagine me wearing a hat. Um, yeah, no, I think yeah, for me she feels fleshed out. Um she feels as though she's dealing with things sensibly and in a way that has an emotional maturity to it that I think is really nice. There's a temptation when writing stories like this to make these characters very verbose or very have one thing about them accentuated, like um she's trying to internalize this, so she lashes out at someone, and I really hate it when characters do that pointlessly. It's a very lazy thing to have your character react in a very predictable way to a complex problem. So I think she's dealing with her emotions in a very adult way. And for someone so young, that's very interesting. So yeah, for me, she feels fleshed out, which is good. Yes, despite being a 15-year-old in 1990s Spain. Well, Sayaka, who knows? Like part number three may just be like a total downhill train wreck from here. So, and everyone can feel better about themselves from not having to compare their own writing to having Herringbone's writing. We will see. But I've got a feeling the quality will still be there and will still maintain the quality. And with that, I'm gonna call that a stream. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for admiring my steamed carpet before, and I can't wait to see what next stream brings for us on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. my time. And I will be on Discord tomorrow evening my time. I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna open up Discord and I will communicate with you like a regular human over Discord. No, my pleasure. Thank you guys for joining me. So Solera X Harry Potter fanfic up next. No. Thanks for joining me, guys. Thanks for making the stream wonderful and fun and very, very constructive. Yeah, that's what we like. Cool. We'll catch you on Sunday, okay? Good, good. Bye bye.